So I wanted to talk a little bit about the idea of flux from Plato and Heraclitus. Talking about this idea in modern day is like talking about objective reality and where to find it. It's pretty fair to say everything is in a state of change. That condition of change does provide repeatability and probability. I'd classify objective reality for the individual as anything that exists outside, before, and after the perceptual experience of the individual. That's individual objective reality that also includes the subjectivity of the other individuals that existed before and after the emergence of that individual's perceptual apparatus. But there's another view of objective reality, which is a reality that persists outside of any influence by life. There's reasonable arguments that the universe itself is aware of itself. So there's going to be an argument that life is not really separable from the universe and that life actually emerges from the universe and just is integrated in part of its fabric. But there's plenty of indicators that our physical reality, which is basically stars, dust, heavier elements, space-time, exist even though they aren't perceived. The science indicates there wasn't life at all times as we define it now, but there was a universe. Some might say the universe exists for the observer. And I think there needs to be more videos talking about the difference between observation and measurement. But even given issues in current quantum mechanics about when waves collapse to particles, we can understand that particles are determined to come out of the wave in a way that's functional for the reality they are building. In other words, when we talk about objective reality, it's more consistent to talk about repeatability and probability rather than waveform collapse and the necessity of observers. You guys feel free to talk about it in the comments. I'm learning with you, that's all part of this. Let's talk about Heraclitus and Plato. Understanding flux through Heraclitus and Plato. Heraclitus, an early Greek philosopher, is often associated with the doctrine of flux. He famously said, "You cannot step into the same river twice," suggesting that everything is in a constant state of change. For Heraclitus, the essence of reality is change itself. Everything is always in a process of becoming rather than being static. He's often quoted as saying, "Panta re," which means everything flows. This dynamic view of the world emphasizes that all things are in perpetual motion and stability is merely an illusion. He saw conflict and opposition, like day and night, life and death, as essential components of change, driving the process of transformation in the universe. Plato was influenced by Heraclitus' ideas, but took a different approach to address the issues of flux. While he acknowledged that the sensory world is indeed in a state of constant change, he argued that there must be something stable or unchanging behind its chaotic flux. In his theory of forms, Plato posited that beyond the physical world lies a realm of perfect, eternal, and unchanging forms. The material world we perceive is just a reflection or imperfect copy of these ideal forms. For example, while individual trees may grow and die, the idea of tree doesn't die with any given individual tree. It's a form. The physical world is in a constant flux and change. This changing world is contrasted with the eternal, unchanging world of forms. True knowledge comes from understanding the unchanging forms, not the ever-changing physical world. While these two philosophers may seem to have opposing views, their ideas can be seen as complementary. Heraclitus' emphasis on flux highlights the dynamic nature of the physical world, while Plato's concept of forms provides a foundation for understanding the underlying order and structure that exists amidst this constant change. So in my mind, we very well may be in a complex alien simulation. The universe may just expand until particles don't interact with each other anymore and then just collapse back into the waveform. I think of objective reality as the code of the video game. When reality is measured, it comes into what we consider existence. But maybe it's not rendered until it's observed. In video games, they can have huge maps, but in order to save power, the games are rendered only in the areas in which the player is playing. Then more power can be diverted for advanced lighting and atmospherics. I mean, there seems to be a lot of evidence that this could be going on with our reality too. Out in the universe where nothing is perceived, it just collapses back to the wave. But objective reality is not lost. That's part of the code. I'm just throwing out ideas here, guys. Talk in the comments about what you think or what you know about quantum physics. And let's be good to each other. We're trying to build something. We're not competing. If you guys like this kind of philosophical subject matter, help us out by liking the video and subscribing to the channel.